Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wrestle Rewind. Today is August the 8th, 2019. This is episode 15. 15 weeks of doing this, including 1 week, so it's actually 16.
That usually gets you from 15 to 16. That is normally how that works.
We didn't have an episode that week. That's why it's still only 15 episodes. Speaking of which, next week, we will not be doing not next week, but the week after that, we will not be doing a live episode. The episode that comes out the week of August, I think it's the 21st, that Thursday, that episode will be pre-recorded.
And it's the 22nd.
Spoiler.
It's on the Thursday.
Well, good enough, 22nd. Smokey got something right that the rest of us didn't know.
He finally made it past 4.
He's on the scoreboard.
And it wasn't a trivia question. That's the part that sucks for him. But
it did come close last week.
Talking about trivia for this?
Yeah, that trivia for that.
Okay, just make sure.
So, anyways, that episode will be pre-recorded. Myself and Smokey are actually going to be up in New England for a week. So we won't be in town here in RVA to film the live episode. But we're still going to pre-tape one so that there's one to be released on that date regardless. It's actually going to be another special themed episode, much like the Friday Night Finishers episode, but I've got another one up my sleeve for what we're going to do for that pre-taped episode. So Friday Night Finishers was definitely different. But
sounds risque.
Yep. On that note, we're going to kick off the show with something a little bit different this time. I wanted to add something different today, and what I decided was I basically went in and I looked at this day in wrestling history to see what happened on this date in the past. Found nothing of significance for August the 8th.
Okay, we're off to a great start.
There's nothing of significance except for we need to wish a champion a birthday. Today,
until March.
I was going to say, I'm in November.
Really? the people in this room, anyways, today in wrestling history's birthday is going to go to Shayna Baszler. It is actually her birthday today. She was born in 1980.
Keep talking. I think I know of another birthday we need to wish.
Oh, yeah?
Talking. Yeah.
That was there's actually a list of folks that have birthdays, but she's the only one that folks like major would know. Okay. So we have a local wrestling individual that's also got a birthday today, and that is none other than Virginia Independent Scene's KR Superstar. Happy birthday to KR and Shayna Baszler.
The commissioner.
New promotion?
He is. Yeah. He is the commissioner of United Elite Wrestling. Whose first show is November the 9th at the U-Turn Sports Academy in Richmond, Virginia. So he'll be there.
I think tickets are on sale right now.
They are. The pre-sale is available. And you can, if you're interested, there are links on the Facebook page for UEW that you can go on and order your tickets today. Don't wait. There are a limited amount of tickets available.
And they are moving quick.
So, that's our shameless plug. So... But anyways, back to our topic at hand. Earlier today, I advertised our episode for tonight, and it's going to be primarily focused on 2 events. We're going to spend some time talking about NXT Takeover Toronto, and then we're going to move on to SummerSlam. So let's. Before I move on to that, I did have an exciting announcement that I wanted to make, and I can officially announce now that. Wrestle Rewind, effective today, is now a subscription category on Patreon, and it can be accessed on their platform and all of their listening outlets. So we have 2 different podcasts. This one went on before that one did, and we've actually been doing the other one longer. But it went up today, so those episodes are continuously being uploaded from the first 14 episodes. Will be available over the next couple of days. That's, God, I hate you.
It's 1.
So,
already didn't take long.
5 minutes on the dot, ladies and gentlemen.
Great job.
So, that's an exciting moment for us. That is a huge mark. Absolutely. That's a huge marketing
Great
platform.
time, Nico.
And so, that's something that I know the team here is proud of, and we look forward to it moving forward. Eventually, probably in November-ish time frame, our live broadcasts will be simulcasted between Facebook Live, YouTube, and Patreon at the same time. So we've got some additional hardware that's coming to support that, but that's the goal. And that's going to take us into... also announced on Facebook today, we officially crossed 500 followers on Facebook. So, Wrestle Rewind definitely continues to grow in its own brand.
You know what we should do? We should just take the water, give it one of those big stone cold salutes.
We would have to put plastic across everything in this room. There's way between lights.
There's a lot of money in this room right here.
Between lights and cameras and everything else that's in here, it would get very expensive very quick.
Details.
Just cherish the moment, the
Right.
memories. Everything is replaced.
Are you going to
over time,
cherish your
see?
paycheck when I ask you to?
If it's for the greater good.
She avoided the answer to the question.
It's about sacrifice.
It is.
sometimes.
It is. See, Double K knows.
Right. I don't make a whole lot of money. I'd rather not have to.
So, anyways, let's move on to take NXT Takeover Toronto this coming Saturday night. And one word: what's your thoughts on the card? Go Smokey.
Looks pretty good. More than one word, but I don't care.
That was 3 words.
Good.
Give me one word. Well, you see what I was thinking was. It's like this.
This episode didn't even take 10 minutes to go sideways. It's already gone.
God.
Double K, one word.
I'm excited.
That's more than one word.
Hey, you know what?
Well, you broke the rules, so you can't say anything.
Okay.
Amen.
Rules are meant to be
6
broken.
words, go.
6 words.
Excited.
Excited.
5 more. Let's go.
So,
You ruined it.
uh,
Why you gotta ruin it?
I try to follow rules.
she lives in a taco truck is 6 words.
Okay.
You know what's bad is he sat there and thought that out in his head before he said it. I didn't even have to look, but I could hear it inside his head. 1, 2.
I'm just happy
It's like tally marks.
Yep, that's 6. All right, I'm gonna say it.
It was an opportunity. I'm sorry.
And I was the only one that followed your rule.
You were. You're
And you
absolutely
gave me
right.
You can say that one.
That's right.
That's a word we can say.
You can say that one.
Okay, I'll save it for later. I'm sure.
So,
I'm sure we're gonna have an opportunity.
let's start off with the.
No one else saw that.
What? No, I didn't.
My pen jumped clear out of my hand.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So,
His pen.
Anyway,
thoughts
Wrestling.
on Candice LeRae and Io Shirai. It's a grudge match. There's no significance to it other than ending a feud or continuing a feud, I guess, depending on how the match
well, it's
ends.
the launching pad for Io Shirai's heel turn.
You think so?
And it's the perfect opponent to go and build that off of in Candice LeRae because she's the Johnny Gargano for the women's division in NXT.
Ooh, that's a big statement.
Not in ring ability, but
Okay,
selling
okay.
ability and believability and the connection she has with the crowd. In ring, she's still working on it. But yeah, so Io Shirai's got this.
Nope, we got a visitor.
A special guest. Hi.
So
2 weeks in a row now?
2 weeks in a row.
You had one job.
Wild card. Let's go.
She's failing poorly at her job.
But if we look at that particular match, I'm not really sure if. I hope it can deliver because I'm going to expect that match to be the first match of the night, and that means it's going to set the tone for the rest of the night. I would be disappointed if they don't have it as the first match because I can't stand it when you have a title match that kicks off your event when you have non-title matches that need to happen. I think it devalues the title when you do that.
I think you need a strong opener, though, and NXT is known for strong openers for their pay-per-views, so that's why I think they would go with the tag team match to open it. Your come down
That's what I
matches,
was
Candice
thinking.
LeRae, and then you build back up to maybe like a Shayna Baszler or I would probably even go Velveteen after that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I might be able to get on board with
Yeah,
that.
I was
Just
thinking
vibe.
tag match
That's
first.
it.
Absolutely.
And especially because Street Profits have that long entrance, so
Yeah.
just give them more time. But, whatever. Just
Okay. So, Shayna Baszler, Mia Yim.
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way. There's not going to be a bad match on the card.
Well, I don't think I've ever known NXT
That's
to
what
have
I'm
a
saying.
bad
There's
match.
not going to be a bad match on the card. So if we're sitting here talking about if we think they're going to be good or not, then I'm going to kill it and say all 5 are going to be excellent. But I think if I were to pick a show stealer, I think it may be Velveteen Dream, Pete Dunne, and Roderick Strong. I think that might turn out to be the best match of the night.
It's going to be tough for them to top Johnny and Adam.
Yeah.
I said could be the show stealer.
I mean, we've seen these two guys go at it before, and they put on a war every time they've been in the ring. I can't imagine what this is going to look like 2 out of 3 falls. That's every bit of an hour's worth of a match right there.
Does anyone have any ideas what the third fall would be if we get to the third fall? Because William Regal's
we're
going to
get to the third fall.
Yeah, well, I think if it was main roster, it's a given. But NXT is known to be different. Obviously,
Main roster might not make it to the second fall.
Well, it depends on the commercial break. So,
Right.
but
They stopped that now.
they have.
Thank God.
Credit to them. But does anyone have? Because the thing was they had to pick. So Adam Cole chose the singles match. Gargano.
Just a wrestling
I can never
match.
say his name. Wasn't it?
Gargano.
Wasn't that the name I messed up on last? No, it was Gatekeeper.
Yeah, it was
It's something with a
gatekeeper.
G. I can't
Gatekeeper?
say G.
Yeah, it was a gatekeeper.
Yeah, it's gate. Okay, whatever. But yeah, Gargano chose the street fight, and then William Regal's going to choose the final fall if it gets there. So a lot of speculation on what the third fall would be.
I would not be surprised if the third fall either becomes a last man standing or a ladder match.
I was going to say a ladder match.
Because it would be different. And if they did a ladder match, then they would have to kind of pause the match for a moment, give the guys a break while they put the belt in the air. So it would actually work in their favor to try to prevent that from growing further.
Yeah.
Do you think they would stop it just to go ahead and put the belt up, or if they had that planned, if that was going to be the way they were already going to go?
Well, I think if
if
Adam comes out if Adam comes out to the ring with the belt in his hand.
Well, it depends on when Regal makes his announcement. He could start the show off.
Well, that's true.
And say,
That's true.
If it gets to the third fall, it's going to be this, and it's easy to hide the strap for the.
That would be exact. Well, that's why. That's why I'm thinking it's either last man standing or a ladder match, because those are both things that you could hide until the moment where you needed to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think that's the reality of it. I do agree with you that the Velveteen Dream, Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong match has the potential to steal the show. I'm going to make a bold prediction for TakeOver Toronto. A bold prediction. And my prediction is that every title changes hands.
Ooh.
Every title changes hands. Here's why. Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era have run roughshod in NXT for the past year and a half, almost full 2 years, so it's time.
Not really, though.
So I think it's time, because if you keep those guys down there, so here's the problem that NXT is going to run into if they continue the same MO that they've had. If you keep guys like Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era there, they're going to have the same problem that they have on the main roster, and that is there's nothing for them to do. Because they will have done everything that they could do, they've accomplished. The Undisputed Era is multi-time tag team champions. Adam Cole now has the NXT championship. He was already the North American champion. There's nothing else left for him to do. Johnny Gargano has openly said he wants to stay in NXT. And the more that, we've talked about as a group that we think NXT needs that, some staple guys that kind of hang out there, it terrifies me at the same time because we're going to have the same problem. what's so glorious about NXT that we all love is the fact that it doesn't stay the same. It changes. It evolves. Different people, different matches, different in-ring competitions. It all evolves. And it has for the past several years. If you start leaving these guys, like Velveteen Dream, it's time. It was time a year. It was time a year ago.
Definitely.
It was time a year ago for Velveteen Dream. Shayna Baszler, there's not a better time. The women's division is yawning from the absence of Ronda Rousey. Mm-hmm. And so this is an opportunity for them to re-inject that vicious opponent and bring Shayna Baszler up. So she drops it. And again, it's time. She's been the NXT Women's Champion now, even though she didn't hold it the entire time, for probably well over a year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Between the 2 title reigns that she's had.
She's been the one that we've predicted losing now pretty much every single show.
But she hasn't.
She hasn't, and we've predicted her moving up every single show, and she hasn't.
But so I think the question to that, too, though, as I sat back today and thought about it, was she hasn't lost because they don't have another her.
Well, right, yeah.
They have to have someone to carry that division. And unfortunately, in women's wrestling right now, that's still something you need, is someone to carry the division. Mm-hmm. That's why you still see Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, those folks prominently featured on the main roster because they are the ones carrying the roster. So Shayna Baszler has carried the women's roster in NXT. It's time. If the undisputed,
I don't disagree.
If the Undisputed Era stays inside of NXT, there's nothing left for them to do. So what are you going to do, stick them on the shelf? Well, that's a waste of their talent.
Here's the issue with what you're saying, though. You said every title changed hands.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era get called up. Well, if they change hands, Undisputed Era will be tag champions. Being called up.
Well, I mean, that's true. Even if that were the case, though, those would be a set that could go back and forth. We've already seen the Street Profits featured, so we know they're coming.
Every week.
Right. We know they're Paul Heyman's boys, so we know they're coming. That wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah. Montez Ford, he's just
insane. Now you look at, I don't think when the Undisputed Era comes up, it's not a 4-man group that comes up. It's a 3-man group.
And Strong stays back.
Strong stays in NXT.
I could see
because he still has work to do. There's still things for him to accomplish because he hasn't done it yet.
Right.
So Velveteen drops the belt to Pete Dunne or Strong. Velveteen comes up. Now you've got a feud between Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
That'll last you into the takeover in the fall.
Yeah. If I'm predicting, I think Strong walks out with it.
So I think Baszler drops it. I think Velveteen drops it. I do think the Street Profits drop it. And I think that Adam Cole drops it. And what I would tell you is that if the Undisputed Era gets the belts, Adam Cole comes up, they stay down for a little while until he gets into a position where he needs his boys to bail him out. Because he's going to come up as a face. There's no way that he can't.
It's fair.
Amen. We're being passed our digital workstation.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay. So
we are extensively active already.
We are. Folks engaging in this conversation predicting that the Undisputed Era leaves with the tag title gold and Ciampa returns at the end of the show.
Okay.
So just because he returns at the end of the show doesn't mean that he's wrestling. But we have not seen him on NXT TV since Gargano won the belt.
Well, he did the pre-show.
Yeah.
He was on...
So we do. We have a lot of people that have already chimed in, so we'll keep on that. But one of the statements on here from one of the viewers is that the main roster isn't even used appropriately. We've all talked about that before, that's a problem. But I also think that the way we think of the main roster has to evolve, because being on the main roster now does not mean that we're going to see you every week. It means that WWE is paying you a paycheck not to go somewhere else.
And then you're going to chase the 24/7 title for a little while.
I mean, in reality...
I don't see Undisputed Era coming up anytime soon.
I can see Adam Cole coming up. I don't see... Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly coming up.
I don't see him going up by himself because Adam Cole is not as strong individually as he is with the whole faction in and of itself. I see Roderick Strong staying back, but I see them coming in kind of like a Shield-esque type.
So it is entirely.
Because they do need somebody to fill that void.
Right.
It is
And it's the
entirely.
perfect way to develop all three guys individually.
Yeah, it is entirely
off each other.
possible that we don't see, even if the Undisputed Era doesn't win and Cole drops the belt, it is entirely possible that we see Undisputed Era just disappear for a while.
Yeah.
So give him some time off, and you let the OC run roughshod on Raw to be confronted around Survivor Series Royal Rumble time.
Yeah.
And the Undisputed Era shows up, after the OC runs through everybody, the Undisputed Era shows up to say...
Count out the guys.
How many months we have left until,
Survivor
Rumble.
Series is only 3 months away.
I was thinking Rumble.
That's only 5.
I know.
Which is crazy.
So
You're going to spin a Rooney.
you look at that, and the question that we have is, do they come up? And if they do win, I don't think you bring them up right away. I think you give them time. Because what we found in the wrestling world is that when you have time to miss somebody, you value them that much more when they come back. That's why we all spaz out and kick people in the back of the head when we hear Hogan's music.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bray Wyatt. It's because you miss them, and so when they come out, it's a big deal. So I that's my opinion. I think it's time. I think it's time for some of those folks to wrap it up in NXT, because you've got a ton of people that they have signed and brought through the Performance Center. That NXT's 1 hour on a Wednesday night. They're not getting any television time.
Mm-mm.
But they have a really good system in place where they rotate.
Oh, yeah,
out.
absolutely.
And it's crazy because, when you see, the advertisement for next week, you're like, man, Adam Cole isn't on this one, or Johnny Gargano's, and
Right.
so this show's gonna, suck or whatever. You watch it and you completely forget that they're not even on it because everyone else is that good.
Right.
Well, their product that
It's
they put
amazing.
forward is
It's
incredible.
amazing.
We
It's
talk a
incredible.
lot about production value and all those things, what they put into that show. They do that show probably better than anything I've seen in a while.
Definitely.
I still think that NXT is the best product they have going.
Oh, without a doubt.
We compare a lot of other things to it, like AEW, things like that. I don't think if they were to go head to head 2 to 3 hours each week, I think NXT dominates everybody.
So there's an interesting comment here from one of our...
If they keep the momentum that they've got.
Well, yeah.
Right. But from one of our viewers here who's a huge fan of A-Man's extensive package, he says that they need to keep talent on the roster at NXT if they're going to go head-to-head with AEW in the fall. I'm so stoked at the possibility of NXT going live every week, but I am terrified that once the creative team gets their hands on the NXT product,
That's fair.
it will destroy everything that Hunter has tried to do with that brand.
When you say going live,
There is conversation of NXT launching a 2-hour show on FS1 to go head-to-head with AEW every Wednesday night. There is whether it's going to happen remains to be seen, but that conversation has been had. So, and again, I am terrified of what happens to that product when the creative team gets their hands on it.
I don't think they would though.
I think it's okay.
Well, but
I think it's going to be all right.
It would require an evolution of NXT that we have not had to see yet. Yeah. So the evolution of NXT that we would have to see here is that they're used to a 1-hour show on Wednesday nights. This is completely different. They're only live once every 4 months.
Well, and then so many other things go into play with that too. Are they going to remain at Full Sail every week? Are they going to start traveling? If so, then that's a completely other story.
Well, and now that if that ends up being the
Yeah.
case, Hunter might as well just bail out of any storylines on Raw or SmackDown because that product doesn't look the same without him in it. He has built that product from the ground up. Yeah. So that's his child. That's why the NXT, whenever Hunter comes out, that entire crowd just erupts.
Well, I mean, remember
because he's the brainchild.
Remember his vest at WrestleMania had NXT on it.
Mm-hmm.
We've also talked about how many moments that he has those proud papa moments when he has his NXT guys that are main eventing the show. Another one of our listeners here made the comment that NXT will not do well if it goes live.
It's possible.
I mean, anything's possible.
I don't think it would either. That's why
that's why I said I'm terrified.
Yeah. If they go longer than 2 hours, I think they're screwed. If they can keep it to 2 hours, I think they're going to be all right.
So, but here's the problem.
I don't even think that's an issue, though.
With 1 hour of NXT, they find a way to do promos and still provide great in-ring action and keep the crowd engaged the entire time.
Right.
And there's actually, I can't remember which WWE 24 episode it was, but they talked about it was after the Shinsuke Sami Zayn match when Shinsuke first got to NXT. Mm-hmm. And there was a comment from Hunter backstage about how it's a 1 hour show on Wednesday nights that it takes about 6 hours to do. So because of the production and all the parts and pieces that they have to put together for it, it takes about 6 hours for that 1 hour show. So that just goes to show you. Now, we've seen that the script rewrites and all the stuff that we get from Raw and SmackDown and how it muddies the water sometimes. We're still waiting on Daniel Bryan's career-altering announcement that they touted for 3 weeks. But
he's going to yell Brie mode.
Remind me about that.
Okay.
About what?
So,
Brie mode?
That's, no. Brie mode was the only thing that ended a career.
If one of you guys yell Brie mode, I'm walking out.
So, anyways, one of the things that I think we have to... Mod. That's true.
Who said that?
Be your wife.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, guys.
Sorry, honey. I know you're listening. It was him.
So, and it looks like, Nico, are we having some technical difficulties over there on your end?
Oh, no.
Ignore that. All right, got it. But one of the so what's the match you're not looking forward to? Let's get back to the actual card for Toronto. Takeover Toronto. What's the match you're not looking forward to?
I don't have one of those.
There's no such thing. And it's not looking forward
to an NXT
I
don't think there is one.
Remember earlier when I said all 5 were going to be good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have one that I'm not looking forward to on this.
Which one's not the 5-star classic that we expect? Because let's face it, we've become very comfortable expecting every NXT match to be a 5-star classic.
I'd say the
Damn it, you talk about a trick question.
Baszler.
You think so?
But
I was going to say the same.
I think it's still going to be a solid match. I'd say, probably if we're going to do, the star rating, 3 or 4.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's not going to be bad by any means, but Mia is still learning, is still developing. So I think Shayna is going to get a lot of offense in. And it's, like I said, it's still going to be good, but I think all the other matches are going to kind of take priority over that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if I have to pick one, that's where I'm going.
Yep.
So, I'm actually going to probably be take the unpopular opinion here.
I think typically do.
I think the Street Profits and Undisputed Era tag match ends up being it's still going to be good.
Really?
But yeah. And I think the reason why is because it's probably the match I am least looking forward to. Because I don't really care. I think that whoever loses is going up anyway. So they've done a pretty good job building this story, but I don't think it's going to be the instant classic. Now, if this was a ladder match or something that had some sort of element to it, then I think it would be a little bit more exciting. Although NXT has done very well in a standard match of making you just as hyped up about it as the gimmick matches.
Yeah. So
we'll see, and hopefully I'm wrong, but that is something that I do want to see. We've got our listeners are saying that they're agreeing the Baszler Yim match is going to be the match that underperforms. It's actually your boy.
Know, there's only one reason he's agreeing.
Well, that's true, because he's still after that package.
Which one?
So
the extensive one.
The extensive one. So the
hey,
I'm not high fiving.
Come on.
Yeah, you're hanging on that one, man. SummerSlam.
I didn't even say anything this time.
So
You started it.
Nope, I didn't. You started it by announcing to the world that you had an extensive package.
I wasn't taught.
I mean, that's what you said.
You did.
I was talking about my TV package.
Well, you didn't clarify that.
Well,
you just
Matter
said
of fact,
that.
it sounded like extensive package.
Right, because
When she realized what she
Yeah,
said.
right.
Yeah, if I was anywhere else, I would have just kept on talking. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But I knew.
In this
when I
group.
said extensive, I'm like, F, man. Here we go. Here we go.
You're not going to win with this group.
As long as
Not
you
at
know.
all.
So
Whatever.
let's. So Saturday night is going to be Takeover Toronto. It should be a huge night as always with NXT. I think they once again have to set the tone for the weekend, and I'm going to be 100% honest as we move over and transition to the SummerSlam's card. There is not a match on this card that tops NXT Takeover. There's one that has the potential. One that has the potential. And the only one on this card that has the potential is AJ Styles versus Ricochet.
That's the one I have.
That match has the ability to outshine every single match from both shows. Because you arguably have who I consider to be the greatest in-ring performer in WWE today, which is AJ Styles.
Fair.
And I will go on to say that Ricochet is probably the greatest up-and-coming in-ring performer that they have, as far as his ability to entertain, captivate, and capture the audience.
Also fair.
There is nobody else. We love Gargano, and we love Ciampa, and we love Adam Cole. They're all great in the ring, but then none of them are Ricochet.
But in the same hand, Ricochet, what is his moveset besides the high flying? Like, if you had a match stipulation, no high flying moves. No, you can't go off the top, like, turnbuckle. You can't do anything crazy like that. Mm-hmm. You can't jump to the outside of the ring. Like, what is his moveset? Well, we know Gargano is a submission specialist. That's his thing. Like, we know about Adam Cole. We know about all these other guys, like, whether they brawl, whatever. Like, what is he?
I would
besides
challenge...
the Flash, which is great.
I would challenge you to go back and watch Ricochet Velveteen Dream. Because Velveteen forced Ricochet to grapple.
And that's a good match, but it was because he was matched with someone who is also well in the ring. He needs to be the guy, like an AJ Styles, that can bring out a good match in any opponent he has. Not saying any of his matches have been bad, but
I think
if he's not matched, it's just the high spots.
But we could say that about every performer that's in the ring.
I feel like you right now.
We could say that about every performer that's in the ring. You got to put him in there with the right person. Taker's no different.
Well,
I mean, I could go through a list. Austin was no different. Put Austin in there against a Chris Benoit. What do you get? A shit show.
What?
That's
fair enough. Chris Benoit was a technical wrestler. Steve Austin was a brawler. So if you put him in a ring, like Austin did a suplex and a body slam. He slung you into the rope and then stomped a mud hole.
Well, no, but I'm talking about, like, right now. That was when Austin was at the top of the company, and you just love... He could sit in the chair, and he would be the highlight of the night, whereas Ricochet is still building. For me, personally, I would just like to see, like, wow, he's really good at submission wrestling, or he's a brawler. Like, just more of, like, maybe an edge or just something, like, deeper in him.
Well, the thing with Ricochet is what his skill set is right now. What I'm worried about is kind of where you're going. He's not going to be able to do that for years.
And he's like a Jeff Hardy. Like, I don't want to see him do these moves for the next 10 years because it's going to take a toll on his body, and you can't do it for.
Oh, he's already said that some of the stuff that he does, he can't continue to do.
He can't.
Right.
Like his 450 splash or
the 640.
640.
But like
450,
that.
640.
He's even said recently that he's had to modify and cut back on doing that because it's really getting to him, and he's fresh. Like, he just got to the main roster.
To your point,
but he's not fresh.
But where does he go after that? Because people pay right now to see all that. They don't pay to see him grapple. They don't pay to see him wrestle. They pay to see him turn some crazy ass flips.
It's like Mysterio.
Yeah, well, right,
Yeah.
and that's why, as I was listening to A-Man talk, as I'm hearing her, and I'm just going to tell you what I heard from you. What I heard from
Oh,
you
Lord.
was high-flying wrestling isn't wrestling. And that eliminates most of the crew. That eliminates most of
That's
your
not at
cruiser.
all what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Because
right.
you were chastising his in-ring ability as far as always being a high flyer.
You just got scolded.
No, it's just if I don't tell you what I hear, then you don't know that how people are perceiving
you're-
it.
I will
But
say
you-
I will agree with you because that's kind of
Yeah, that's what I
but
heard.
You brought in the word cruiserweight. Ricochet is not being promoted as a cruiserweight now.
No, I agree.
But you said cruiserweight. She didn't say anything about cruiserweight. What she's saying is...
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the style. His style is that of a cruiserweight.
Right, but I think
it
the
is.
difference... It is, I agree. But I think the difference is the cruiserweight division is kind of... It's advertised that way. It's promoted that way. You go to the... If you watch the cruiserweight matches themselves, that's what you expect, and that's what you see, and that's what you get.
Well, it's
You know
also
what's-
because they're smaller people and
Right.
they can do more of those things.
Well, exactly. So you expect that, but Ricochet could do either or,
Yeah.
but he's not a cruiserweight.
But think about what he's billed as. The guy's billed as the human highlight reel and the one and the only. Because there's nobody else that does what he does. There's people that do things like it, but there's nobody that does exactly what he does. Now, very similar styles, very similar movesets, but what you have to get past is you have to get past the fact that AJ Styles, this might be the match that shows us what Ricochet can do outside of his constant aerial acrobatics.
And I love seeing all that. My favorite wrestler growing up was Jeff Hardy. Because I knew whenever Jeff was in a match, he was going to do something crazy, especially at a pay-per-view. That's what I looked forward to.
I mean, it's still that way with Shane McMahon.
Right. So,
yeah.
But my fear for Ricochet is we're all going to think of him in that form. Like, he's just a high flyer. And I feel like if we label him like that, or even if we're not consciously doing it, we know we're going in to look at his match and say, oh, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. He's amazing. I think the only... I don't even say negative, but the only downside is maybe his promo, but that's an easy fix. That's something that he can progress in over time.
That.
Yeah, that's not even a problem. I just don't want him to get labeled as one thing because if Vince is going to be the last say, for however long, how far is he going to get with a Vince McMahon? Do you think Vince McMahon will see Ricochet as a top guy? And honestly, the only reason, well, this is probably going to be, I'm probably going to regret saying this, but the only reason... or the main reason why Rey Mysterio won the title is because it was a feel-good story because Eddie Guerrero had just passed away.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Rey would have even been in that position to win the Rumble and then to go on to win the title if that tragedy didn't happen. Not saying I want anything like that to happen with, of course not, but what would get Ricochet to that point? And that's
I
my
think
thing.
Ricochet, though...
Not taking away from his high-flying ability, because it's amazing, but I'm scared for him.
I think he's one injury away from Vince just saying, I told you so, and he's gone.
Like a Finn Balor.
Exactly. I think...
He was the first Universal Champion.
I think that's true of any NXT superstar who comes to the main roster. They are one injury away from Vince saying, nope, not interested.
But with Ricochet's size and everything that he has, if you want to say going against him, in a Vince McMahon perfect world, that's what scares me for him.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would challenge is if I think back to his matches in NXT, he did a lot more than high flying. That's just the only product we've seen from him on the main roster. But you go back to what he did in his 9 months that he was in NXT, there's not a Ricochet match I can think of where he didn't go all out. I mean,
he never has. I don't want him to get labeled as one thing in the main roster. And I hope this match is what he needs to move on. And so,
I think it's the perfect opponent.
Oh,
I was going to say, yeah. I mean,
it's the perfect opponent for him to showcase his talent.
If he's going to get over, it's going to be something.
And he will, because we've already seen them.
Officially get over. I mean, he's over, but I'm talking, everything.
And he had a great crowd response this week on Raw. He had a great response.
Well, people love him.
Yeah. So it is a good sign, but
because he's uber talented.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
So, but I'm with you. I think that match has the potential to steal the show. And I think that match has the potential to steal the weekend because of the talent that both of those guys bring to the ring. What's your crap the bed match on this card?
Oh, I hate to say it. I don't know if it's a crap the bed match, but it's definitely the match I've gone on record for the last 2 weeks saying that I am most concerned about, I am most worried about, and it's Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. I'm not worried about the match itself being good or bad. I'm worried about what lasting effect it's going to have on Bray Wyatt.
This past Monday was the first time that the graphics and the actual wording on the card, and it's even changed on WWE's website now, that it's not Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt anymore. It's Finn Balor versus The Fiend.
Right.
That is the official advertisement from WWE now, so we're going to see the in-ring debut of The Fiend.
If it's anything other
I'm
than a
nervous.
squash match or something happening before the bell rings, I don't like, in my mind, the way it plays out, I don't like the direction that it takes The Fiend.
The more and more I've thought about this over the past week, I think that a man hit the nail on the head, and I'm talking 12-inch spike clear into the ground by...
That's very specific.
By the fact that I think that it's either a squash match or something happens before the match ever starts, but I don't think it happens backstage. I think we get a repeat of what happened on Monday Night Raw. I think Finn comes out to the ring. I think The Fiend appears. We get a Sister Abigail. We get a pinfall. Match is over. That sets up The Fiend versus the Demon at some point later in this year or next year.
I mean,
to be honest, I think that's the only way you can legit have a match, is to have it the Demon versus the Fiend.
Yeah. Like, I just don't think the way the Fiend has been billed and the dominance that he's supposed to have, if Finn Balor comes out and even competes with the Fiend, it does a disservice to everything they've built. And they've done so well with it. Everything they've done with the Fiend so far, the intro, the build-up, has been great.
Imagine with Paul Heyman's hands in the pot that this is going to go bad.
I hope not. And like I said, I'm very hopeful, but that's the one I'm most concerned with.
Hey, man, what's the one you're most concerned with?
Well, real quick, my thought behind Finn and Bray, before I forget, like you guys said, either something happens before the bell rings, it's a squash, whatever.
Yep.
I think this is a one and done. I actually don't. I think maybe in the future, like, we'll get a Demon and Fiend match, like actual Demon. But I don't even think that's the focal point right now. I think they may take a route and have the Fiend be the one who was manipulating Eric Rowan to put him up to attack Roman Reigns. I think Daniel Bryan truly didn't know, but they all have a history. And I think they start their own faction where the Fiend is the mastermind. They don't call themselves the Wyatt family or anything like that. They start their own faction. Bray Wyatt was the one to put Eric Rowan up, and then that takes them in a completely other direction. So, just a thought, because you don't want to see
I think
Bray
that
Wyatt.
ruins the character.
Yeah, I think the Fiend has to be solo.
Yep, solo. Nobody.
Because
part of my issue is I can't stand Daniel Bryan, so putting him with Daniel Bryan is just a disappointment.
well, they tried that once.
Well, Daniel Bryan doesn't have to be involved. I'm just because they had history in
Right.
the past. Rowan would obviously be more apt to be
From the Wyatt family.
Right.
I just don't think Eric Rowan is what WWE wants him to be. Like, he's good.
But he's obviously something since he's the one who they're putting in this position.
I know. I don't think he's that guy, though. I don't.
Well, Daniel has been very vocal in his shoot promos, so to speak, about he and Brie are focusing on another child. He doesn't want the constant traveling. He doesn't want to be the guy anymore. He has other priorities. So I don't think we see him in any major storyline, a supportive role like he has right now, but I don't see him involved in a major storyline at all, probably at least until the Royal Rumble. But, I mean, because
Could even be a surprise entrant.
yeah, I mean, I just because again, unfortunately for him, he is another one of those guys that there's nothing else left for him to do.
I think we've said this, but I think the Fiend needs to go the way of the Undertaker.
He needs to be the new Phenom.
and be seen only when you need to be seen.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I think, I said it last week. What did you look for in WCW when Sting was doing the Crow thing? What did you tune in to see?
Just
to see him. Just to see him
stand.
stand in the
Just to
rafters.
see him stand on top of, the Jumbotron, or
Yeah.
to stand up in the rafters or something. He didn't have to do anything. So I would love to see WWE go that way with The Fiend, and then he only wrestles every now and then. And I think that does a massive amount of justice to the character. And I think it doesn't even come close to tarnishing anything they've done. Just give him a match here and there.
But I don't think you need to stick him with more people, because think about it. Bray Wyatt has been with somebody ever since he's been in there,
Mhm.
except for the time that he won the
And look at
title.
where that got him.
After he lost the title, who'd they stick him with? Matt Hardy. He's been with somebody the entire time he's been there.
I mean, it's true.
That's true.
That was a
I think it is
decent tag
his
team,
time
No, it
to
wasn't.
be himself.
was.
No, it wasn't.
By himself.
Are
The
you
only-
talking about technical ability or entertaining to watch?
though. Entertaining.
It was horrible.
They could have done so much more with it, but I mean, it was fine for what it was.
Well, Matt was having trouble moving at the time and was
Yeah, 'cause
horribly
he had
out
to
of
get
shape.
his, like, hip
I will-
fused together
I will
and shit.
never
He's
forget.
actually in shape now, though.
No, yeah.
I will never forget the text message exchange that I had for about 25 minutes on a Monday night
I know where this is going.
with Double K, the night of the ultimate, the ultimate deletion that they did on Raw,
You hated it.
and
Well, he was at work.
I was at work. I couldn't see it,
and he's like, text me updates. I'm like, all right.
and so
gosh.
at the end of it, the response I got from Double K was, "That was 12 and a half minutes of my life I'm never getting back."
It was
And
terrible.
so
I think I might have said something like, that was the worst piece of shit that they could have put on TV at this moment.
yeah, it was something along. It was actually more vulgar than that. There was probably several other FCC violating words that we can't
Yeah.
that we can't say. But the other thing that we have to remember, and we learned it with that in my mind, because I did go back and watch it, and you're right, it was 12 and a half minutes of your life that you'll never get back. But
Wasted.
when you watch things like that, we as fans have to understand that what works in one promotion doesn't necessarily work in another one. It's a different fan base. It's a different clientele. I can even tell you examples of the indie scene here with and around the city of Richmond, throughout the state of the state of Virginia, where we have traveled. That you see one gimmick go from one show to the next, and then you sit yourself there going, "What the were they doing?"
It doesn't.
Because it doesn't. It worked there, but it doesn't work down here.
Right.
And that's the same across the country. So the territory days are over within the United States. They've been over for a long time. But guys, they're not dead. They're just changed. Different areas of the country like different styles of wrestling. You can't take something that's here on the independent scene in the city of Richmond, take it to Texas, and expect the same reaction. It's a different style of wrestling. And so when you look at how that's evolved, when you go from what happened with the Ultimate Deletion in TNA, and then you move it to what they tried to do in WWE, in my opinion, it just didn't work. Because they tried to copy something. WWE was trying to make money off of something that had already happened. That's what it was. So I think The Fiend is an opportunity. I think he needs to be the next Undertaker-esque. But the problem I think we run into is the Undertaker's whole thing worked because he was the conscience of the WWE. That was why his thing worked. That's why him just showing up
Yeah.
was because he was the conscience of the WWE. I don't think you're going to get that with Bray Wyatt, and I don't think you're going to be able to build a following nowadays with a fan base if he only wrestles 4 times a year.
Right.
So he's going to have to be around more than 4 times a year. He's going to have to be there more. I think what you do is the same thing you've done with Finn Balor. You let Bray Wyatt return to the ring, but The Fiend only comes out
Every so often.
when he needs to.
Yeah.
So I know it's
I
stupid.
don't know if I like it because, like you just said, that's what they've already done with Finn Balor. So we already have it. We already see
We
it.
almost saw Finn Balor, the Demon, versus Sister Abigail, which was Bray Wyatt with a burlap sack on his head. We almost saw that. Just don't forget that.
I mean,
Before JoJo gave him the mumps, there was a match that was coming.
He's on fire today. He was off today. He's well rested.
Well rested is not the truth, but I was off today. But it is without a doubt an opportunity for them to bring Bray Wyatt back on a regular basis, but not have to have the Fiend around all the time. So, because I'm with you, I think that if the Fiend is the character that Bray Wyatt is just going to be, then you can't have him around all the time because it takes the uniqueness and the specialness out of it.
So what if you do not 50-50, but what if you have him like the split personality type? What if we don't see the Fiend every week, but we see Bray Wyatt?
That's how you're going to have to do it, in my
Did
opinion.
I just miss something?
You just missed about 10 minutes of the conversation.
Well, I was trying to get the link to give it to this person, so that's why I was like zoned out. Okay, whatever. I'll just go watch it tomorrow and answer to my question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
on
my
that Taco Bell app.
that was that was my talking point. Was I think that if you have him wrestle just once or twice a year, I don't think he builds a following with the current fan base. But if you bring Bray Wyatt out with the same thing that they do with Finn Balor.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is the conversation we just had. Hey, what's up?
We're hearing bits
caught
and
up.
pieces, so like, okay, so that went with that. Got it.
Yeah.
She's back.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Thank you 100%, Tommy T.
But do you necessarily see just Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend, but just Bray Wyatt wrestling? Or do you just see him in promos?
Well, and that's what I
or
was going with,
backstage,
too.
like, little...
I wouldn't.
Slips.
I mean, it'd be okay to see him wrestle every now and then as Mr. Rogers. It'd be all right.
Do we see normal Bray
Mr. Rogers.
in
Won't you be
Mr.
my
Rogers?
neighbor? I just got extremely uncomfortable on this side of the table.
I don't have a brown sweater on. So, nor do I have a current meme floating around about me, so you're all right.
That you know of.
Yes. That's fair.
Fair.
All right.
So,
I'm sure
all right.
Somebody can-
Smokey, what's your match? Which one do you think here is going to not
Actually
achieve?
did.
Not necessarily not achieved, just
Okay,
one that I'm not really looking forward to is Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton.
So you're not looking forward to it?
No.
Why?
I'm with you.
It's a match
I
that
mean,
should have
I
happened.
just want to know why.
It's a match that, in my opinion, should have happened a long time ago.
Well, it has.
It did.
It did.
And, I mean, at this caliber.
But Kofi was Jamaican then.
Right.
No, he was
Jafaican. But now that Randy's kind of like on the outs and doesn't really want to be there, what makes it so special?
I
Just
don't
because
know.
you put the title on the line doesn't mean anything.
What are the odds Randy takes it?
Randy doesn't.
No.
I said, what are the odds?
0.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If Randy takes it, it's because somebody interferes. Somebody costs Kofi the title. Is it Big E?
God.
Dolph?
Is this the Big E heel?
No.
No, God, for the love of Christ. If Goldberg doesn't put golf.
Have y'all heard about that new Drive Shack thing?
Yeah, have you heard about Golf Diggler before? Sound like Mark Wahlberg's character in Boogie Nights. Golf Diggler versus Goldberg. Goldberg's one word, so I think we're safe. I don't think he can mess that one up.
I'm useless now.
We're in a permanent state of glitch.
All right, so Goldberg needs to put Dolph
How red your face is on screen.
in a casket and just be done with it. Because it's not... I'm over Dolph Ziggler at this point, just as much as I'm over Randy Orton.
Wow, because it should have been him.
Smokey's got a question.
I'll take a Meximilk. Orderly.
All right. What my question was going to be,
And some cinnamon twists.
what if Dolph wins?
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh, there's no way he wins that match.
I'm not saying he
He
is,
doesn't.
but what if?
So there's an interesting notion that I saw this
Then
weekend.
Vince wasted a lot of money on Goldberg.
It was not Vince's call to bring Goldberg in.
Yeah, but it's his check.
It was Heyman's call to bring Goldberg in. Somebody asked Paul Heyman to equate Goldberg to a legendary star, and the response was
Oh, how about that?
the response was Goldberg. His comparison for Goldberg is he is the modern day Bruno Sammartino.
Whoa.
That was Heyman's reference of Goldberg. And he said the reason why is not by him as his career, but he's the guy that, if you think about the latter part of Bruno's career, he would come in, stomp a mud hole in somebody, and then disappear until somebody challenged his legacy again. And then he would come back and prove,
I mean, that's fair.
hey, I still got it. And that's what Heyman wants to use Goldberg for, as the guy of, all right, you keep running your mouth about me, and I'm going to come in. And I mean, think about it. Look, I still can remember to this day sitting in my living room with Smokey C sitting on the other couch from me, watching Survivor Series. Goldberg returns for the first time in 12 years, and he squashed Lesnar in 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
And I sat there with my mouth on the floor, not being able to believe what I just saw.
Yeah.
The fact that WWE was able to pull that off is remarkable. So, if that's, which I think that's exactly what we have to get in the Dolph Ziggler match.
Squash match?
Oh, absolutely. It's not believable. What's Dolph going to do?
If you took them both in their prime, what would they do? Ziggler would get destroyed.
Right.
Unless he runs the whole time. That's the only way this match goes over 2 minutes, is if Dolph runs.
Well, I think what happens is you get, it probably goes several minutes. Dolph will do something to get the upper hand on Goldberg.
Sure.
And then he'll beat down on Goldberg for a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden you're going to see Goldberg think about the WCW matches. That was what you saw. Somebody took advantage of him. They beat on him for 2 or 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden you'd start to see him with his hand on the rope and just shaking his head. Like he was just shaking it off, and then it was game over. Yeah. The next 45 seconds belonged to Goldberg.
I agree.
Match was done.
I think, though, this may be one of the best spears that we get to see.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's Ziggler.
Ziggler
This may be...
I'm
I'm going to really doubt it. I think this could be the best spear we've ever seen.
It could be. I also think this is that moment where Goldberg, because what was one of the worst spots in the Taker match?
The whole
The
thing.
jackhammer.
The jackhammer. This is that moment, because of Ziggler's size, Goldberg can just pick him up and hold him there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's still jacked enough to be able to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And he won't be
You could have gone to
concussed.
Taker if he wasn't,
Right. He won't be concussed.
Unless
Yeah.
he headbutts
If
the
he
turnbuckle
wasn't
again.
completely out on his feet, he would have gotten Taker fine. It would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I think that what you get here is a brand new picture of Goldberg after this match is over, of him still being the unbeatable
Well,
This
phenom.
is his Extreme Rules match that Taker... What? Blah, blah, blah. This is what
What'd you say,
Extreme
Tommy?
Rules was for
For Taker.
Taker.
Yeah.
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 For Goldberg.
It's a
Same
redemption.
thing.
Well, but when
Yeah,
Goldberg
that's all it
came
is.
out the other night on Monday, did you hear the crowd response?
Oh, yeah.
They've already forgotten about the match that he had with Taker.
Well, because one, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And
It's
then
Goldberg.
What I thought was so cool on Tuesday night when Ziggler came out, he came out to Goldberg's entrance. The crowd wasn't ready. Did you see it?
He came out.
I didn't see Ziggler's entrance. I saw the promo, but I did not see
so
Ziggler's
on
entrance.
Tuesday night, it's dead quiet. The next match is coming, and then out of nowhere, Goldberg's music hits. The crowd goes nuts, and then you hear somebody either headbutt a door or kick a door. Security's back there. Open the door, and it's Ziggler come out.
It was so great. And he was serious, too.
Oh yeah, he
just,
was trying to
playing
act
it
just
so-
like
yeah.
he was spitting
So
and
great.
and he got out, and when he threw the punches in, it was great. Like, it was perfect.
Can I just say Goldberg isn't Goldberg without that pyro? That entrance, man, like
It's not the same.
Not the same. No, like I love like his entrance is one of my favorites.
Well, they had
it's
the
so
pyro,
simple, but it's so impactful.
He had the pyro before the Taker match, but I think he had almost knocked himself out on
but
the
that
door.
was and he just walks right they were outside, and it was like a big stadium event. Like, but I don't think they're gonna have it.
Degrees outside.
I think there'll be pyro this weekend.
That's
something you do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't
because
have
you're right. It's
without
not
the pyro.
It just doesn't have that feel. It's that image.
Well, and Monday night he wasn't coming out to.
Oh yeah,
to
Monday.
beat Goldberg.
Yeah, no, Monday makes sense just in general.
But I'm gonna tell you that damn shirt was painted on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That spandex shirt was painted on.
It was painted on.
So jacked. Dude.
I mean, I was going to say, he is still jacked.
He's still Goldberg.
Well, I think after the whole debacle with Undertaker.
Well, he had something to prove.
Exactly.
He's coming out now with a chip on his shoulders.
That's what this is, yeah.
So, I honestly think that match ends up being one of my favorite matches of the night. Just because it is 2019, and I'm going to watch Goldberg compete against
we're going to react the same way we did in '97.
Oh yeah.
We're going to act the exact same way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're kids in a candy store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, So, I want you. We've talked about using one word to describe something. I'm going to challenge you.
We know this doesn't go well.
Well, that's because Smokey, he's taking counting lessons from your son, and
Dang can count.
Can he?
Can't tell time. So he's not listening, so I can say that.
So I'm going to ask you a different question now, and the match that I'm going to ask you to tie it to is Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus, and what I want you to tie to it is an emotion.
Okay.
What emotion are you tying to the Trish Stratus return against Charlotte Flair? We got to see her perform this past Monday. So what emotion are you tying to that match? Smokey, we're going to start with you. Nope, that worked wrong last time. Double K, we're going to start with you.
It's not so much an emotion, but it's indifferent.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Amen.
That's you.
I know. I need a little bit more time.
We're not ordering at a restaurant. Just
Thank God, because I suck at that too.
God.
That's why I always go with like chicken fingers and fries.
and tacos.
Smokey Z! what's your emotion that you're tying to this match?
It's about the same as Double Cage.
So I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Well, she hadn't answered yet. She's still staring at the menu.
We've got some feedback from our.
Oh no.
It is Golf Diggler. For those of you at home,
one of our listeners said Golf Ziggler. Double K is just correcting that it is Golf Diggler.
At least they didn't say like.
One of our that same listener also said that his emotion for the Trish Stratus match is underwhelming.
Yeah, see, indifferent.
I like that.
Don't cheat.
So
you guys would have the same answer.
That's your fans. Man, y'all are in this together. Anyways, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
All the same.
And the curveball that I'm going to throw you is, what if Trish wins?
I'm still like,
Yeah.
Because if Trish wins, what does that do?
Nothing.
Really, what does it do? She's not coming back for a long-term run. She's not coming back for a medium-length run. She might
She's
come
actually
back.
said this is her last match.
Yeah,
which
like-
I mean, she said before, but
So
yeah.
they've all.
Well,
said
but
that
this
before.
one's in her home country.
Well, so was the other one. Her last match was Unforgiven.
Her last
Again.
match was in that
In
one, yes, but
2006.
she was also in the Evolution
She was
pay-per-view.
She was in at Evolution too.
She said that was her last
Mm-hmm.
match? Oh, I didn't know that part.
When she tagged with
With Lita?
Lita.
Oh, I didn't know she said that was her last
Yep.
one. But anyway, yeah, underwhelming. I say underwhelming because they could have built this story up so much better. Oh, God. This makes me really nervous that you guys have control of the comments.
You don't want it.
You don't want it.
I mean, I'll see it later.
That's
That's fine.
Oh.
He would appreciate that.
At least when we're out there, like I can get up and like walk away from you guys. For
I mean, you're
minutes.
close to the door and there's nothing in your way.
It's right there.
Leave the show.
I mean, I don't want you to leave the show. I'm just saying.
I know. Whatever. What is I talking? Oh,
But you keep coming
now I
back.
don't even want to keep talking about it because
He was defending you.
He was defending you. He's agreeing with your point of view.
That, but I know you guys are, going to twist anything I say now.
No.
Oh, we didn't twist that.
No, we didn't twist
That's
that.
just what he said. So, anyways, continue with
Whatever.
it.
I think it's underwhelming because they could have built it up much better. But apparently they didn't know
True
until a few weeks ago that it was even going to happen. Which makes sense why they didn't build it up. But it's just underwhelming for that. I think it's going to be a great match. Well,
I think it's going to be.
match.
I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 3 stars.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 3 star.
It might get 3
Yeah.
stars. One of the listeners, one of our female listeners, actually mentioned that Vince doesn't give wins to people in their hometown. But if that's the case, then she doesn't win.
And neither does Natalia or Kevin.
That's true.
And how many people?
But that is true, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
True.
That's what I said.
That
a
is
second ago.
Historically,
Yeah.
people
True.
lose
Yeah.
in front of their hometown.
But how many people have their last match that is their last match and go out with a win?
Well, all
How
the
many times have we talked
all
about
the
it?
greats go out on their back.
Right.
All of them.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, and we always say that if anyone deserves to end their career and walk away with a win, it's Taker.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a conversation that you and I have had a million times at this point.
Yeah. He's the one guy that deserves to go out on a win.
So, for the same reason mentioned here, and that, I don't believe Trish is going to win.
Oh, no,
and I
Charlotte's gonna
still...
win. And Charlotte's going to brag about this, I think, the same way Chris Jericho bragged about beating Austin and Rock in the same night.
Yeah.
For as long as he
Like,
did.
this will be...
This will be her, because she's already passed
Charlotte
Trish
will
with
be
the
the one
amount of
who
reigns.
retired
So now she...
Yep.
Trish
Exactly.
Stratus.
So not only did she beat her in the amount of titles, she ended her career. If,
Yep.
You know.
And I stand corrected, so I owe an apology to the what I quoted as a female listener is a male.
Oh.
So I apologize. I looked merely at the name and then made a judgment on the name. So,
So judgmental.
but
Damn it.
hey, look, I
Gosh.
admit when I make a mistake. So
Things happen.
Natalia isn't going to beat Becky in any town.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Ooh.
what do you think about that?
For SummerSlam? Or in
Yeah,
general?
well,
About that statement?
that statement.
Agree, disagree?
That Becky's your girl.
I know, that's why I'm torn. I disagree with that.
Okay.
I actually see Natalia beating Becky on Sunday.
Okay.
Do you really? Because
I
see.
don't.
Do you think both women's titles are going to change hands? 'Cause
No, I see Natalia winning and Becky and Bailey retaining.
See, I think Ember Moon is
Yeah.
taking Bailey's title.
I think it's the other way. I think, to be honest, I think Becky holds the title until Ronda gets back.
Oh, I don't think. I don't
Or
think.
until Shayna Baszler comes up.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's
Yeah,
Ronda
yeah.
coming back. I think it's Shayna coming up to defend Ronda's honor against Becky for having never technically beaten Ronda.
Well, then we can do that
Shayna
same-
gets the title, then Ronda comes back,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
setting up Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey.
right there.
Hey man, when you get a chance, at the end of this broadcast tonight, I need you to go back and I need you to read through the comment section on our broadcast for tonight because there's some very
Read it
enlightening.
on while we're still broadcasting?
No, I want you to
Oh.
read it after we're done.
Oh, I will, because I watch the show while I'm at work.
Oh, okay.
Off the clock, of course. During my break.
Well, it's not like you guys do much over there anyway.
That's true. Wait,
So
I need to shut up.
you said that.
you're digging a hole. You're digging a hole.
Take some sense.
I do a lot of work every day.
So 10 matches on the SummerSlam card. What do you think is the most exciting match?
I think we've already talked about the most exciting match.
So you think still the AJ Styles Ricochet, that's your
From
most
a
exciting?
pure, yeah, I think that's the most exciting match. I'm not excited really about Brock and Seth. I think it's going to be kind of what we've seen.
God, I got to ask the question. Does Brock leave Toronto as the Universal Champion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a unanimous yes here.
I think he leaves champion because the
Are
story
we kind of
after
tipping our
SummerSlam.
hand to what we're picking? Is that
No,
political?
because we're all subject to picking whatever. You can always change your pick. You could tell a lie now.
Well, why would we lie
I
to
could
our
be lying.
listeners or viewers?
Look, you still got to pick the method of victory and the time.
The what?
The time.
It's got an H.
The time.
You put an H in there?
There was no H.
Since when was there a
The
list?
dime.
This might very well be Golf Diggler's time to take Goldberg down.
I just almost
Sweet
dropped an
music.
F-bomb right there, and I had to catch myself.
Oh my
I
goodness.
don't remember what we were talking about.
So,
See, I'm going to
Oh,
go
Brock
ahead
and Seth.
and talk to them because we talked about it a minute ago. I just don't think Bray's or the Fiend's match is going to be the most exciting match.
What are you referring to?
there's a listener that said Shirley Bray's first match is the most exciting. We've talked about that. I think we agree that there's going to be something different about that match, whether it ends before it actually becomes a match, it's a squash match, something of that nature. It's going to be exciting to see the Fiend regardless.
It has potential to be just fine, and all of our worries and fears are
Moot points.
Or moot points, but I think it will be exciting to hear him announced.
And what
possibly
his
and-
music would be. Like, what is he even going to come out to?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You know?
I don't think he comes out
like
to
the
anything.
screech or the scream that we hear every week, or
That's it. You hear that. The way I think is going to happen. You hear that, lights go out, and he'll be in the ring.
Yeah. All right, so here you go. What match opens? I think Kevin Owens and Shane open.
Oh, yeah. Shane likes to open. We know that.
I actually think Kofi and Randy would open.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Either that one or Natalia and Becky Lynch.
See,
I think they would start off strong if they're going to switch up their normal.
Well, I
formula.
think your first match. I think that would be a strong first match, but I think just Shane and Kevin come out and have that pure hatred grudge match and do some crazy stuff and
Get the crowd hyped
crowd
up.
going and get everybody's blood pumping. And
What does Shane jump off of?
well, it depends on what the set looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he does anything crazy.
We know.
It's a pay-per-view. He's going to do something crazy.
I just don't feel like it this time. I don't feel like he's going to do it.
It's SummerSlam.
If anything,
He's known for jumping off of stuff at SummerSlam.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got
What
to.
was it,
Like I
70
said,
feet
so
at the
Yeah.
time?
it all depends. I was there.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. It all depends on what the set looks like.
You missed his entire Steve Blackman.
Wait, what about Steve Blackman?
Resemblance?
Oh.
But him and Steve Blackman?
Yes, between him and Steve Blackman.
She said-
Oh, shit.
Did you wait a minute? Did you just combine Bob Backlund and Steve Blackman?
No, I said Steve Blackman.
What in the
I-
what in the hell's going on here?
I get it now. But because I don't think you look like Steve Blackman. Wait, is that still not the point?
No, that was the point. That was absolutely the point.
Yeah.
So
Dude, at first I was gonna be like, that's so cool you were there.
there's
Oh, actually was there.
Shut up.
a couple of different
Where was it?
fans that have commented on the same conversation. The tag team match is one that is suggested to open, and then another one is Kofi versus Randy to open.
Wait, what was the first one?
The tag team match.
What tag team match?
That's a great question. Well, there's a tag team match that's on the pre-show.
What?
Pretty sure it don't count, though.
What is
Well,
it?
I agree. It's
Because I didn't think we had any tag team matches.
there's a tag. It's not for a title. It's there is a tag team match on the pre-show, and it's from Raw, and I cannot. And I did not print it with this listing.
Come on, man! You had the day off and everything.
Hey, what happened on Ring of Honor?
I told you I was busy building another business.
He didn't have time.
Do we want to discuss? Shall I go into detail about my entire week so far?
So,
I put a lot of time into United Elite Wrestling this week, just so you know.
the same person that said the tag team match said that's the point. There isn't one on the main card. But there is one on the pre-show, which, let's talk about that for a second. How do you feel if you're the tag team champions and you can't get a match on the main event card? Because we've seen, for crying out loud, we've seen titles change hands on the pre-show.
Mm-hmm. I think they're just trying to pack so much into one show that somebody has to do it.
Yeah, but there are matches you could get rid of here.
No, I agree.
The pre-show is starting at 5.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It'll be a 6-hour show.
Yeah, I think,
At least.
So, that's, I don't know. I think for me, I'm excited about all the matches on the card. I think this is the first time in a long time that Brock Lesnar is probably the favored person to win this match.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Seth is as over as he once was.
Also just said that too.
Who? Oh, yeah. That's her boy. But
your PIC said the same thing.
That's right. I don't think Seth is I don't think he's as popular as he used to be.
So, what do you think fixes that for Seth?
I think he goes away for a little
You
while.
got to go away for a little bit.
That's the only thing that fixes for any of them.
Well, think about when Roman went away. Even though it wasn't like...
They loved him when he came back.
They hated him before.
Yeah, right. Well, they were just... I don't think they hated him. I think they were just sick of seeing it.
Well, what did we see? Reigns, Lesnar 6 times?
Well, that's what I'm saying. People were just sick of seeing it. Unfortunately, it was...
And now we've seen Seth, Brock.
Well,
this is the 4th time.
This has got to be it. Because people are going to just start resenting Seth like they were Roman.
So after Seth, who is it?
For Brock?
Mm-hmm. Because I'm saying Brock walks away with the title.
Idea.
I don't... This is going to be a conflicting answer, but my pick would be Bobby Lashley.
That's exactly who I think it's going to be.
My issue with that is they're both heels. So who... Are you going to try to play up Brock more?
If Brock
or
gets
do you
cheered
do
every
a
time he
turn
walks
for-
out, is he still a heel? Because
They cheer him they're
see-
surprised to see him.
Right,
But
because
throughout
I
the
don't...
match-
Yeah, but, if they were surprised to see Bobby Lashley, I don't see him getting the same reaction.
So
If you're surprised you get to see Lesnar that night, you jump out of your seat, you freak out a little bit. And
Yeah, but
unfortunately,
he's
I think...
showing up more and more, so it's becoming less of a surprise.
Well, that's why I said if. And then, if Bobby Lashley's music hits, are you going to jump up and have the same reaction you would have for Lesnar?
if presented correctly, they could. If they build it up, because there's plenty of stories.
If it's
for
a
them to
surprise, how do
off
they
of.
build it up?
The way that you got to build it up is
No, I'm saying
Bobby Lashley has to be face, in my opinion.
No, I'm saying Brock would be
Well,
face.
they've spent
Bobby
2
would be
years
heel.
making him a heel.
Well, you're not going to make Brock a face.
And
So,
you're not going to make Bobby a face without Leo.
well, but Lashley also
Well, he
just had
turned
surgery.
heel when he had Leo.
So he just
had
had surgery, so he's out at least until the fall.
who?
Lashley.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
So he's out at least until the fall. I still think he's the next guy. I think they just feed somebody to Brock until then.
Man, that would be such a good match.
Well,
I think we've talked about
Be
that
Smash
match for...
It's
what would it be?
Smash Mouth.
There you go. Bring it.
the it's one of those things where it's a fight that we wanted to see at one point in an octagon. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen
And you
now.
know they're going to wail on each
Oh
other,
yeah,
too. Like,
those two guys are the two of the few guys that could literally go out there and beat the snot out of each other, and
Yeah.
then it's going to be okay.
But what I could see, Brock beats Seth, Monday night, Braun comes out. And they do this feud how they should have done it originally. Outcome-wise.
So here's my fear,
Not-
though. I think that if you have Brock Strowman and Strowman doesn't win, you destroy his career.
But that's what I'm saying. You build this up because the next pay-per-view isn't until 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
We have enough time, a decent amount of time, to build Braun up, build
Again.
their story, and have Braun
Do
beat
we
Brock.
see Lesnar defend the title at every pay-per-view?
No.
So was he hold it till Hell in a Cell?
Survivor Series.
Well, I don't know.
Well, Survivor
So-
Series is in November, right?
I think yes. I
Yeah.
think
So
that's
that's not that far away. So
that's 3 months.
I know. I'm just saying that's really not that far away.
It's 3 months without a title defense. That was what pissed people off about Brock last time.
I don't think he
You think
defended
it's
it
gonna
everyone,
change?
though.
I don't know.
I don't
He's
think it
definitely
does.
been around more since Money in the Bank than he has. We've probably seen him more since Money in the Bank than we did the entire year last year.
I think
I still don't think he's going to defend
If-
it every time.
but you could get away with
No,
it
I
more
don't.
so now than any other time that he's been champion, with him not being there. Because the reason we all obviously knew, but they never mentioned it on TV. Once they started mentioning it on TV and having Roman mention it, that's when people got mad because
Well,
they
it was
were
the
pointing out the
storyline.
obvious.
Yeah.
But we're mad at it because we see, everyone else putting in the work and whatever, but they could get away with it now because of the love that Kofi has.
Oh, it's still, for me, the greatest story that Vince McMahon's ever told. He spent 3 years teaching people to love Roman Reigns and hate Brock Lesnar, and we all ate it out of his hand by the time it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. It was brilliant. you
So
know?
that's...
As much as you may not agree with it, we did what he wanted us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I just... So what titles change hands?
Becky, the Raw Women's title.
So you think Becky drops the Raw Women's
As
title?
much as I hate to say it.
I say Becky keeps it, Bailey drops it.
Yep.
I say...
I don't think there's a question in my mind. Bailey drops to Ember Moon.
What?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
I think it's time.
And I do feel like I feel this is gonna sound it might be unpopular, but I feel like Bailey was just a placeholder
For
Until they
Ember
can-
Moon?
for whoever
Not
they
necessarily
decide.
for Ember Moon, but I think that I really believe here that there's still such a huge potential. We have not seen Sasha Bailey on the main roster yet. I could completely see Sasha Banks coming out, costing Bailey the title,
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Whatever.
and that setting up the Sasha Bailey feud, which goes into goes into Survivor Series before we see it conclude.
I give you that.
That's what I said the other week, but I don't think Bailey loses. I think Sasha comes out, tries to help Bailey. Whatever happens, Bailey keeps her title. Bailey is pissed that Sasha even came out and interjected in her match and tried to steal spotlight, whatever she wants to say, and then they feud over the title. Sasha, whenever she comes back, she's gonna get a huge pop because we're excited to see her. It's a surprise, whatever.
I don't think that you need so they feuded over the NXT Women's title. I don't think those two. If there's any two women on the roster that don't need a title,
They don't
to have
need
a
it, but
major
the title
feud?
needs them. That SmackDown Women's title needs
Okay.
them. If you
Okay.
give it to Ember, nothing against Ember Moon. She's fine in the ring. Her character is not developed enough to carry that division. Because then all right. Next week when we're here talking, Ember wins. What do they do next week on SmackDown with Ember? What heels do they have? Mandy Rose. Okay, that could be a passable.
Sonya
match.
Deville.
Sonya Deville.
Okay, but again,
I'd be 100% on board with that.
I would love to see it, but they don't.
I
really
would
have
rather see
heels.
that before
Unless
Mandy Rose.
Shayna moves up or something like that, but I just don't think Ember Moon is the right person to beat Bailey.
But see, I
now.
don't think Bailey's the right person to have it either. It just something about it doesn't feel right.
In my opinion, I think they're just trying to figure out who should have it.
Well, I think you put the title on Ember. You let Bailey step out of the spotlight for a little while. Let her build her feud with Sasha. Meanwhile, that gives you the ability to also drive the women's division. Because what happens if you put Sasha and Bailey? We've seen the two of them hold a title picture before, and that means the entire rest of that women's division does nothing for the next 4 months because those two are going to be involved in the fight for the title.
I don't think that's
So
true, though.
if you take that title off of them, they get their own program. The women's division gets to function on its own. Because what we have done is handicapped ourselves. The moment you put that title on Bailey in a feud with Sasha, you can forget every other female on the roster for the next 3
It's
months.
true. They all fade.
Because that's your focal point.
But here's what I think. It's where I will agree with you. I feel like just the feud.
He just say he was agreeing with A-Man?
Yep.
I did.
That's what I was waiting to hear.
August
what
8th,
point.
2019, folks.
Right.
It happened.
Right.
It is hot in here though.
It
is.
happened.
It is.
It is hot in here. No, I think
I think the floor's a little cold.
did hell just freeze over?
It did.
There you go. Tacos are cold. I think the feud with Bayley Sasha without the title still overshadows the title picture.
Oh, I think it does.
Yeah.
But it gives relevance to the division because the title still matters. If you leave it between the two of them, it does.
It didn't matter when Asuka was the champion. She was
Well,
never on
what
TV.
do you mean?
For God's sakes, I mean,
Well, that was just poor creative.
But that's
because
what I'm
Vince
saying.
McMahon locked
But
her in a
that's what I'm
closet
saying.
in the back.
If we do Sasha and Bayley without
Too
the
much
title,
kabuki.
Jesus.
just like you said, they're going to overshadow the title again. So at least if they're fighting for the title means something.
I don't think it does.
But it only,
It still have-
means something to them. It means absolutely nothing because you have no idea that there are even any other females on that show.
But then that's when you get the tag team titles into play more, which they need to do. And you have Mandy and Sonya fighting whoever, the Kabuki Warriors, whatever.
The who?
they're-
The what?
Kabuki Warriors.
This has been a hell of a night.
Shit! The Kabuki Warriors.
It is the kabuki.
Kabuki. What does that even mean?
Google it.
Not the same as bukkake.
No,
So-
it's true.
So,
Oh my God, it's hot in here.
so
What I think happens if they do this with Bayley and Sasha, they don't have the title in that picture. They let their feud go on, and then it drives every other woman in that division to step up their game, be better, and
Yeah.
bring that title, have that title overrun that feud.
yeah, I mean, I think that if the belt is in the hands of either
You figure it out.
Sasha or Bayley, it does not do any favors for the rest of the women's division.
No,
And so, if we're going to continue to build the women's division, especially on SmackDown, which, guys, you got to think about the focal point that's getting ready to be put on SmackDown in the next month and a half. Month and a half from now, SmackDown moves to Fox. So you better believe that they're going to be shifting star power. They're going to be shifting everything they can to build the arrival of SmackDown on Fox.
That's why you
Everything.
need that title as
I've-
a focal point.
I agree, but not on one of them. I don't think that it needs to be on either of them because a title doesn't have to be in a great feud for it to mean something. So I can think of countless feuds throughout. I mean, one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart at WrestleMania, what was it, 13? So there was no title in that match. But it was a great match. It was a great feud. You don't have to have... We saw Rock Austin 3 times at WrestleMania. 2 times for the title. The third time it wasn't.
Times have changed so much since then. Like,
But you're right.
WWE doesn't
And if
have
the title...
patience for storylines to build a significant emotion into it besides Bray, unless it's involving a title. What other storyline are we involved in besides Roman, which we have no idea where that's going? Are we involved in that is not around a title?
but that's creative's problem.
Which is fine. I don't care whose problem it is, but it's not
I
gonna
agree with
change
you.
anything. That's my.
I
that's
agree
my
with you,
concern.
but the biggest argument point that I would put to that is the fact that the Universal title was only seen 5 times across 1 year. It was seen a total of 12 times in 3 years.
But who had it?
Right, but you had plenty of other stories that went on. The belt was only tied around one of 2
But they
people.
were leading to that.
It was one of 2 people. It was either Lesnar or Reigns. For 3.5 years, one of them was involved in that picture for 3.5 years.
You still had to have other feuds.
So you had to have other people involved. You had feuds that carried Monday Night Raw
Oh, but
when that
which is how
belt
it
wasn't
should-
a Raw. When that belt wasn't around. So I agree with you that the patience for WWE, like their ability to
Yeah.
have patience for storylines,
Yeah.
is gone. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100%.
That's my
But
fear.
my opinion is that you don't do any justice to that division putting that belt on one of those 2 women while they're in a feud. Because everybody else becomes irrelevant. You won't see them on TV. You won't see them have meaningful matches because they have no reason to. If you separate it, Sasha Bayley carries itself, while the women can still have feuds on the side because they have to build storylines around it. And you also have to remember that there's a different side of creative going on in WWE right now than there was even 6 months ago. So it's very different. One of our listeners says the wrestler should make the title not the other way around, which is where the women's division is lost at the moment. So the wrestler should make the title shouldn't make the wrestler. And I agree with that 100%.
I like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think that listener's absolutely correct, because right now they're using the title to make someone instead of the other way around.
Well, and that's why I said the SmackDown Women's title needs a solid feud to bring it back to life.
Well, every title needs a solid feud. I give you that. But, I mean, I don't...
Maybe not even Sasha. I don't know. Just in the long run, they just...
I would say yes if it's Bayley and anybody else. I'm with it 100%. But bringing Sasha back after what is going to be, a 5-month absence? And all of a sudden you're back in the title picture? Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I feel like we could have had Bayley Nikki Cross there for the longest time. Like, it was right there.
Yeah,
It was right there. All you had to do was just do it. And then we get Ember Moon. And Nikki and Alexa win tag titles, which... Okay.
So, interesting tidbit on that information. Vince has already soured on the women's tag titles.
Oh, like that wasn't obvious.
So I would not be surprised if they disappear. I honestly think that it was a poorly designed idea from the beginning. I think that if you were going to do it, you needed 2 sets of women's tag titles, 1 for each show. The whole passing back and forth. They've got to find a way to draw the line between these 2 shows. They cannot continue to send talent back and forth because you're blurring the lines.
October.
I think where they went wrong with the tag titles was the tag titles in general, because you didn't have solid divisions on each show to support having tag titles along with 2 separate singles titles on the main roster.
Well, then
if
you
they were
just
truly
started-
going to be traveling,
You just started piecing people together and saying, here, go do this.
Smokey?
well, even that.
I'm
but they didn't
sorry.
do
I
that.
think you ruined the tag titles by putting it on the Iconics.
See, I was getting ready to say, right now, from what we've seen, I feel like they were the best ones with it.
Yeah. If you're
I
not
don't
going to
know,
do Sasha
Sasha-
and Bayley,
Sasha and Bayley was good, and then they...
No, it was okay, but oh, God, I can't believe
I'm sorry. In my opinion, they would have put the titles higher up than the Iconics did. Because when the Iconics had it, how many times did
in
they...
quality compared to the
defend it?
Iconics is like a whole other level. They would have
Right,
had
if you're
solid
looking
matches.
purely in-ring,
Solid
absolutely,
matches.
Sasha
And
Bayley keep
I
it.
think if they were given time,
That's how you were going to put
But,
that belt up.
but the
Or those
Iconics
belts.
brought the women's tag titles, I feel like, to more of a prominent spot on weekly television.
I
Right,
agree with
but
that.
you never...
And I never thought I would say
defended them.
that it was entertaining, but it was entertaining.
It was. It was. That iconic little...
Yeah, it was
shtick that
cool.
they do.
You know, in hindsight,
just-
it was really cool. They didn't defend them, but maybe once or
But
twice.
they are an act that you have to be entertained by them, or you will hate them, or maybe hate's a strong.
But I
word,
think that's
despise
kind of
them.
the point, though.
Oh, it is.
That
It
was
is.
that
It is.
right there is
And
the
I think
entire
that's why,
point.
because you probably don't like the Iconics.
I could care less about the
Right.
Iconics.
Yeah.
I kind of like them, so I was entertained by them. I don't think they should have beat Sasha and Bayley, but whatever. If someone was going to, they would have been the best pick at Mania.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I feel like they brought the belt to, like I said, a prominent level.
Yeah.
But as soon as they lost those titles, now, I mean, what now? Now we're sitting here talking about the women's tag titles just going away.
But that issue is,
Yeah.
you also didn't defend them on pay-per-views. You saw them get defended at WrestleMania, and that was it.
Yeah.
And how long did they have it before they defended them one time?
But it was still the women's tag titles were still entertaining without being defended. That's pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know you're doing your job. And then when you finally do, drag that out a little bit longer, defend them, lose them, but lose them to somebody who can take it from where you brought it
And
a little bit further.
Right.
That's where they failed right now. It didn't happen. What? You got something to say? What? What happened?
Nothing
I think
happened.
he's just listening for
I was-
once.
I
I
was
felt
listening.
like we were going to get in trouble.
I wasn't sure what was going on.
I was
there.
listening.
Me either.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to respond.
But to be honest, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross have the potential to actually make those belts mean something.
And that's what I was going to say. Tag team-wise, in ring, they're probably the best option you have right now.
That's just a weird combination, though, don't you think?
It is, but it
It
works.
is, but it
I mean, it works. Don't get me wrong,
so
it works. I
Weird.
could be reading too far into it, but I feel like there's more there.
That's something that they can really just grow with.
Because it's also
spread out over
Is that
time.
because
they have
short?
to look more at a women's tag division.
What was that?
Then I said they actually have to look at more of a women's tag division.
Well, that was my issue with it from the beginning.
So here's the problem with the women's tag division. We have applied a double standard to what's expected of tag teams and singles wrestlers between the men and women on the main roster within WWE. My point being, a female wrestler who is great as an in-ring performer does not mean she's going to be a great tag team performer.
Oh,
So-
and you're saying because guys normally mesh well?
Well, because most of those guys, their origins are from tag teams.
Yeah.
Almost all of them. So that's how they started. And even when you get to the main roster, what do you end up seeing with most of the guys when they first get to the roster?
Tag team.
They get stuck in tag teams. So they're used to that. They're built around that. Women are not. And so we have gotten to the point where your Baileys, your Sasha, your Charlottes, all of
That's Sashi's cousin.
Well, I was thinking it was like a
From
pasta
Sashi to
dish.
Sashi.
Like Sashi.
All of-
Like saucy. Kind
all
of
of these
Sushi?
these
Like a-
females who are great in-ring performers. I honestly would tell you that I think Sasha Banks and Bayley as a tag team did a disservice to both of them because they're uber talented single female competitors. Putting them in a tag team means that both of them spend half their time standing on a ring apron. They're not in the ring performing. And so you have females out there who are not the best in rings. The Iconics are the absolute perfect tag team. The absolute perfect tag team for the female women's division. Because they were not solid, great. If you put either of them in the ring against the Charlotte Flair for a 25-minute match, it's a joke.
The
Because they
Bellas.
can't do it.
Bellas were.
That's another example. But that was my point, is that we have set a standard that we expect the women's tag team division to be on par with the men's tag team division, and that's not going to happen. Because we're not enough into the evolution of the women's division to get the same quality matches that we expect for them. Their singles abilities are awesome, but you see how this impacts them. Just put 4 of them in the ring together and watch how quickly the match falls apart. They're great when it's just 2 of them, but we can go back over the past several years and watch triple threat and especially fatal 4-way matches with 4 female competitors and start going through the missed opportunities of where they screwed something up.
Well, and I think with the women's division in particular, it's never really been based off of tag teams, whether there was titles or not. It's always been singles. Like, it was rare when you had 2 females work together
Yeah.
back in the day. Like, if you're talking from, like, the Trish and Lita
Yeah.
era, and even after that, the Bellas, at least in my memory, were really the first
They were.
duo, and that's obviously because they're twins, you know,
Sure.
whatever. But they were the first duo who came in and really, like, made an impact or whatever. But what other tag teams have there even been for the women?
Well, right.
And my point with that is that's why I don't think the tag titles were a good idea to begin with right now, because you need to focus on building your single stars up to where it's an obvious choice, like a Sasha and a Bayley. They're fantastic separately, but they're great together too.
Yeah.
But besides them, in the Iconics, who do you have? Even as a tag team, and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, but
Yeah.
you have 3 tag teams.
Yeah. I don't think that we're anywhere near where we need to be for women's tag team wrestling to be considered a prominently featured match.
Right. Not right now. In
not
the future.
right.
It's
And
a good idea. just
Not that they
right
can't
now.
get there.
Right.
It's just not there yet.
I say 2-3 years, maybe.
I mean, look
Yeah.
at how just women's singles wrestling has come.
But
Which is why
it's
I
taken
feel like
a
they-
lot in the past 3
Right.
years for them to build it to the point now where we have females headlining pay-per-views.
And
I
they
mean,
got-
think about it. Back like years ago, you saw women in bra and panties matches.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that was a different time. That was the Divas era.
Right.
Right. And they got so excited with the evolution and the progression with the women's division that they jumped the gun with this one.
Yeah.
They just got it was a great idea. It was an exciting idea. People were behind it, but
Well-
they didn't think long term. Even long term for them.
I
taking
honestly
months.
believe that the intent was to give more TV time and get the women's division more focus. Is what I think the intent was, but I think it failed.
Yeah. 'Cause they didn't have a good binge team.
No, it failed, and then that has nothing to do with the people, nothing
Not
to
at
do
all.
with the
Not
performers.
at
Their
all.
ability has nothing to do with it. It doesn't have anything to do with the Iconics. I agree with Double K. I think they were the best women's tag team champs we've had so far, even though there's only been 3 as of now. But I still think they were better because they made it entertaining. And so I can't stand them, despised them. I remember when they won at WrestleMania, and all of us were sitting there like, well, that was a waste of a match. Because we couldn't believe that it happened.
Well, I was
I
kind
thought
of
it was
hoping
great.
Natty and Beth were going to win them, but that
So-
would have been cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're there yet. It needs more time. So, any other thoughts on SummerSlam? As we go into the weekend, we've got NXT Takeover on Saturday, SummerSlam on Sunday. So I know we'll all be together Sunday night for the show where A-Man will defend
Yeah,
her title.
I'm surprised she didn't bring that title. Did it get stolen? Did you leave it in your car?
So, anyways. So, now it has come back to the favorite moment of our week every single week.
Oh, wait a minute.
What's that?
Is
It is.
Trivia
It's
time?
what you think it is. It is time for our weekly...
We didn't talk about AEW though.
Well, we're 2 hours in.
We're an hour and a half
we are.
in, yeah. So we did cut short tonight, but that's also why I titled tonight's episode for
Sorry guys, missed the cue.
a preview
No, there wasn't one.
Oh,
for a SummerSlam, and we're actually going to do this each week. So we are going to have an episode. Consider this your warning for the others at the table. We are going to do an episode the Thursday before AEW's All Out. That episode will be dedicated, much like this one was, entirely to All Out. So it's going.
Shoot him a bird.
It's going to be. That's. I mean, yeah, you can. But
that's great.
so.
Good job.
You're just doing this.
Yeah, it looks like you're telling me I'm number. No, okay, not anymore. But
For those of you at home,
so that episode will be entirely dedicated to AEW, and a man will host that show, and I will be part of the color commentary with the other 3. So I will not take the lead on that show. A man will be the lead commentator for the AEW show, and that will be the Thursday before
what'd you say?
All Out.
Use the AEW.
What'd you say? I'm going to need you to speak up.
So
Use your outside voice.
Put it
the
closer to your mouth.
that's.
I hate you all.
If it had taco sauce on it, you would.
All right, so here we go. We're going to start out in the
Extra spicy.
ruthless aggression era as Double K defends his.
Rating, defending.
Sorry,
Come on.
that's the reigning, defending, undisputed Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion Double K.
Times,
He
baby!
is the 6-time Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion. A-Man holds the other 4. Smokey Z is still trying to climb up the ladder to get onto the scoreboard.
We're going to need
4. And how many weeks
So-
have I been doing this now? 7?
at least 4.
7?
7, I believe, is correct.
6 maybe? Maybe 6. So I've won 4 out of 6 weeks.
Yes, that's true.
Pretty impressive.
That is
guys.
impressive, seeing as how when we started, I went 5 straight.
Well,
Well,
look,
it was you
And
against
then-
him.
Man,
she just threw you under the bus bad, buddy. All
she just took all your pride and threw it out the window.
right.
Anyway.
15 questions. The person with the most points at the end of the 15 questions wins. Nico's got my timer. Question number 1. The first 5 questions are not multiple choice.
What era?
We are going
Ruthless aggression.
late attitude, early ruthless aggression for these.
Okay.
Who won the corporate Royal Rumble on Raw?
Ooh, on Raw. I thought I had an answer.
glad
and
I waited.
Me too. I was
Your first. You ready for your hint?
yeah, you said every 10 seconds.
This superstar is now deceased and ended their career with a different promotion than WWE.
See, that last part kind of threw me off. Wait, we don't know the year.
No year.
That promotion part.
This performer was also a member of a trio in the Attitude Era that also had Shawn Michaels and Triple H in it. Smokey Z.
China.
It was China.
Oh,
I
I was going big
was on a
Balls fan.
completely different direction. I'm glad
Me
I didn't
too.
say anything
Me
because it would have
too.
sounded dumb.
Question number 2.
Me too.
What blew up in Dean Ambrose's face at TLC 2014?
What blew up at his face?
Yes.
Don't play with fire.
This was when he had a chairs match, I believe, with Bray Wyatt.
Blew up in his face though. In a chair.
I'm trying to remember the match, but
Yeah,
I don't remember.
This item is regularly contained at an announcer's table on the outside of the ring.
And it blew up in his face?
That is correct. Smokey Z.
A water bottle?
That is incorrect. Double K.
A fire extinguisher.
That is incorrect. Hey man, there's 20 seconds left on the
It
clock.
blew up. It's always... Say that hint again. It's near
It is
the...
it is kept at the announcer's table on the outside of the ring for all broadcasts.
Oh, I guess I don't need to hit my
Nope.
button. Is this like some type of powder thing?
Nope, that is incorrect.
I have no
The
idea.
answer was a television monitor.
What?
I don't
How did
remember
that blow up
that.
in his face?
But do you not remember that?
No.
Apparently
Apparently
not.
Nico, can you find the clip for us? I'm sure you can find it over there, and then we can see it.
Yeah, I don't remember
We're going to move on to
that.
question number 3.
I got it.
Which legendary boxing champion served as a special guest referee?
Mike Tyson.
That is incorrect.
Ken Shamrock?
That is also incorrect.
Oh, I thought I had to answer because I hit my button.
You did.
Okay. Okay.
So can
Well, he
you
kind of gave me a
can you
look.
finish the question?
The question is, which legendary boxing champion served as a special guest referee outside of the ring during the WrestleMania 1 main event?
Oh,
You can't answer.
I know.
It's Muhammad Ali.
It was Muhammad Ali.
Hey, man. That girl.
Question number 4. Which Intercontinental Champion was tied up by Dean Ambrose and forced into signing in the match? Amen.
Wait, you said which former Intercontinental?
Which Intercontinental Champion was tied up by Dean Ambrose and forced into signing a match?
I messed up. I shouldn't have hit my button.
Well, you gotta throw something out there.
Chris Jericho.
That is incorrect. Smokey Z.
Is it The Miz?
It was not The Miz. That's also incorrect.
Miz,
Double
because
K,
that's
you
what I
are
was
the
thinking.
remaining one.
Because I was thinking what you were thinking. All right, so do I still get hints though?
I'm waiting. I can't see the time.
Well,
I
we're
think it's
more
time
than
for-
10
yeah,
seconds
I
in.
think it's time for a hint.
Okay. This,
Who's that dude?
I have no idea.
I like his setup.
This Intercontinental Champion finished his career with WWE while running a segment where he delivered bad news.
Oh,
That would be Wade Barrett.
That is correct.
golly gee.
Golly gee whiz.
Here you go. This is
obvious.
I don't even remember this match.
I remember the match, but I just don't.
Where was this? TLC?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah, I do not remember this at all.
I remember the match.
Oh.
It's John Moxley versus the Fiend.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the match.
All right, let's continue.
Yeah. Yeah, we're,
We believe you.
yeah.
Who defeated Seth Rollins to become the first WWE Uni?
Good Lord.
Amen.
Yep.
Finn Balor.
That is correct. It is
Finally on
Finn
the
Balor.
scoreboard.
What are
Coming
we,
up on 3
5
years.
questions in?
On that.
That was 5 questions in. Question number 6. How many members of The Shield held the WWE Championship on the same night at Money in the Bank 2006?
2.
That is incorrect.
All right.
Smokey Z.
1.
That is incorrect.
Well,
That's
that doesn't
not
even count.
Yeah, you're not going to get the point for it because there only leaves one.
It was 3.
It was all 3.
Well, how does that count? All right.
Oh, one
I thought you
in,
were gonna say
one
anything.
probably be, and then one cashed in.
Yep. Question number 7. Which 3 WWE legends brawled with the League of Nations at WrestleMania 32?
Do we have to name them all?
Yep. Amen. Stop playing footsie
Wait.
with me, Double K.
Was that your
WrestleMania
foot?
That was
what?
my foot.
That's my
32?
bad.
32.
Roddy Piper.
That is incorrect.
Okay, well,
Rodney Piper, number 1, doesn't exist.
I said Roddy Piper.
She said Roddy.
I thought you said Rodney.
No.
All right.
Here you go.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
I do.
Well, there's a reason we don't remember because that was.
Anyways,
Where did that monitor even come from? That's
come
a
on, she's
huge
already
monitor.
answered. Let's
Okay,
go.
whatever, yeah.
She's trying to.
let's
distract
think
everybody.
about this. All 3 of these individuals are WWE Hall of Famers inducted in different years.
That's another one of those guy in the corner with a hat on.
There was a distinct moment here that the League of Nations was in the
Where are
ring.
you going? All right, continue. Let's go.
So, what? It's thrown off my whole thing now.
Yeah, I'm confused.
2 of these individuals reside in Texas.
They live in the United States of America.
No, I told you what state they live in.
Right.
They live in Texas. They're Hall of Famers. I can't believe that y'all don't remember this. One of them tore his rotator cuff during the shenanigans.
Who says shenanigans? Come on, man.
What's that, 3 of them?
3 of them. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, Double K.
Austin Michaels Foley.
That's correct. All 3.
Boom, baby! You're back just in time to add another point.
So he took it. He had to wait till 2 seconds were left on the clock.
I had that in my head at like 10. I was just trying to milk the clock a little bit. Create a little drama.
Who won the inaugural WWE Cruiserweight Classic? Amen.
Oh. The Cruiserweight Classic. Wait, are we talking from like back in the day?
There was only been one WWE
Or the one
inaugural.
on the network?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Why? Oh my gosh. Why am I blinking on his name? Oh, TJP.
That is correct.
Damn it.
It was TJ Perkins.
I'm like,
I'll tell you guys later. Let's just move on.
Question number 9. Who helped Kevin Owens win a fatal 4-way match on Raw? Double K.
Triple H.
That is correct.
Wow.
Question number 10. What stipulation did Dean Ambrose choose for his match against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2014?
Chairs match?
That is incorrect.
What? His match with him where?
SummerSlam 2014.
They had already broken up by 14?
The Shield's been broken up for almost 5 years.
So that would have
When
been
did
the
they-
year.
Whatever.
When-
I'll look it up later.
When did 13 when they broke up?
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago,
That's
but
what I'm saying. Like,
It's been a while. Well,
we
you gotta
only
think
have
we had-
15 seconds
we
left
had
on the
6
clock
years
for this
of Roman
question.
being crammed down our throat.
true.
And Lesnar.
Amen.
TLC.
That is incorrect.
Should I say something?
4,
I
3,
got nothing.
Yeah,
2,
say something.
1. It was a lumberjack match.
I don't remember
Don't remember that either. Sorry, Dean. Nothing personal. Actually,
Which WWE superstar in 2017 accused John Cena of being a backstabbing shark on Raw?
what year?
17.
2017.
Backstabbing shark.
Hint. This guy has been living in America for the last 5 years.
I think.
You know what? I'm not going to give hints anymore.
You're giving hints.
Nope,
I'm
you guys are
close enough.
screwed down.
I can reach you. I'll torture you into a hint. 2017.
Amen.
2017.
I'm torn between two guys.
That's a first.
Right, I know.
10, 9,
Did we get any
8.
sort of hint?
set. She's already hit her button.
Oh, well, hurry up and answer. Well, the time's supposed to stop.
It did. I'm counting down for her.
Oh.
Easy double K. He's holding on to that belt, man.
Was it AJ Styles?
That is incorrect.
I think I know.
Was it Roman?
It was Roman
I knew
Reigns.
it.
Yeah, I was
was
like,
the other
those
guy.
are the two I was stuck on. I was
That
like,
was
is
the
it
other
AJ
guy.
or Roman?
Who won a Battle Royal on Raw in 2017 for an Intercontinental Championship match with The Miz?
Good Lord.
When?
2017.
On Raw.
On Raw.
Who won the match to fight?
Who won the Battle Royal
What
to
question
challenge
is
the
this?
Miz?
What number?
Miz. This is question number 12.
Was it Finn?
It was not Finn Balor.
Hint?
This performer
Oh.
is part of a tag team, and he is known for the high flyer of the two of them. He is also known for being the charismatic in... Amen.
Jeff Hardy.
It is Jeff
I
Hardy.
don't remember that either, though.
I kind of do remember that now.
Which new member of the Wyatt family made his main roster debut on Raw in Double K.
Braun Strowman?
It was Braun Strowman. There are 2 questions left. Amen. You must get both of them correct
Oh, here we go again.
in order to tie. Smokey Z, you are now mathematically eliminated. Question number 14. Which superstar did Braun Strowman pin at Night of Champions 2015 as part of a 6-man tag team match
Oh, God.
to win his pay-per-view debut?
Jesus. It's like a magic
That's not who it was. I mean, Braun's pretty strong and all, but I don't think he's got that one. What year?
2015.
And you said, who did he pin?
Who did
Yeah.
he pin?
In a 6-man. So
Even she's
This
like,
individual,
What kind
she's
of
like,
question is
she's
this?
like, what?
this
in the
individual
hell?
is also the first undisputed WWE champion.
Aw,
Double K.
Chris Jericho.
It was Chris Jericho.
you distracted me, girl.
That moves Double K to 7 points with only 1 question left. The math is
Only 6
not
points.
6 points. Sorry,
Who can't count now?
it's me for sure tonight.
But you know what? He had 7 on his brain
Because you're a 7-time
because I'm
champ.
officially the 7-time champ.
That is official. Tonight marks Double K's 7th time as the NXT, the Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion. Our Intercontinental title here. That's our representation of Trivia Champions. So.
And I got
At least that wasn't your vape.
So, folks, that's going to wrap up another episode of Wrestle Rewind. It is a pleasure, as always, for us to bring this to you every Thursday night live at 8:30, provided a man shows up on time.
guys.
It was close today. It was real
No,
close.
she was here a good 15 minutes early today.
Maybe.
Cuts it close, though.
So, well,
Maybe.
hopefully. But when
It's time to go.
it
Jesus.
next week when we come to you, we'll be reviewing SummerSlam and Takeover, and talking about what happened this coming weekend. And then we are just a couple of weeks away from being able to
By next week. That'd be a
That's what you said.
have our
last week.
full preview of
double
AEW
check.
All Out, followed by the review of All Out. As usual, folks, we thank you for joining us. We thank you for following. It's a real pleasure for us to be able to do this each week. And as for myself, I'm Tommy T.
Double K.
Amen.
Smokey Z.
And we will see you guys next week live at 8:30 for Wrestle Rewind.
Amen. The Kabuki Warrior.
UK.